The deal is already meeting some strong opposition from Republicans and even some Democrats in the U.S. Congress. Lawmakers have 60 days to review the agreement. In a morning speech, President Obama promised to veto any legislation aimed at overturning it, even as he warned Iran not to stray.
If Iran violates the deal, all these sanctions will snap back into place. So there's a very clear incentive for Iran to follow through. And there are very real consequences for a violation. That's the deal. It has the full backing of the international community. Congress will now have an opportunity to review the details, and my administration stands ready to provide extensive briefings on how this will move forward.
The U.S. presidential candidates are also weighing in on the deal. The Democratic frontrunner is hailing it, while the Republicans are blasting it. Here's a sample of the reaction.
I think this is an important step that puts the lid on Iran's nuclear programs, and it will enable us then to turn our attention, as it must, to doing what we can with other partners in the region and beyond to try to prevent and contain Iran's other bad actions.
The Iranians are very good negotiators. The Persians are always great negotiators. They are laughing at us back in Iran. And why didn't we get our prisoners back? Why doesn't somebody say, where are our prisoners? Nobody's even talking about it. We have 4 people that are in prison that shouldn't be.
Let's get more on the U.S. political angle now. Senior Washington correspondent Jeff Zeleny is standing by on Capitol Hill. And Jeff, obviously there's fierce criticism from the Republican side, and there's even skepticism within President Obama's camp. This deal now goes to Congress. Can the president implement this deal without the support of Congress?
Sure, there is much skepticism. I mean, there's outright opposition to it on the Republican side, as you mentioned. It's not just Donald Trump. It is every other Republican who's running for the U.S. presidency, and that is a lot. It's a big field. Some of this is typical politics. It's to be predicted. But there are some Democrats in the president's own party who are skeptical and questioning this. But at the end of the day, he threatened very clearly, the president threatened very clearly this morning that he would veto any legislation that tried to block this. So it would take 2/3 of the United States Congress to override a presidential veto, and the math simply is likely not there for that. So yes, he could implement it even if there is some attempt to block it in Congress.
Israel has also strongly criticized the deal, saying it gives Iran every incentive not to change. We know that President Obama has spoken to Prime Minister Netanyahu. What can you tell us about that, and how do you think this deal will affect the U.S.-Israeli relationship?
Well, as you know, the relationship is fragile, to put it mildly, sometimes hostile, sometimes not good at all. But they did have a telephone call, President Obama and Prime Minister Netanyahu. And I'm told by White House aides that the president tried to assure the Prime Minister that, look, we still understand that terrorist threats are very real in the region, and we still understand that Iran in many respects is a bad actor, but he tried to make the case that this was a good deal for the long term. So at the end of the day, I mean, there's simply no convincing the Prime Minister that that's the case. Only time will probably tell if this deal goes through and there's not some type of a horrible incident.
Okay, Jeff Zeleny on Capitol Hill, thank you very much.
Thank you.